In this lesson, I will show you how the fill handle works when I use it with cells that contain formulas. The best way for you to understand that is with an example. So I will click in cell I2 and I want to get the final grade by multiplying the average with the weight. That is, I need to perform a calculation here. I will type the equal sign. I will type F2 multiplied by cell H2. Remember that multiplication is done by using the asterisk sign. Now I will press enter to complete the entry, and with the same logic I would like to fill the rest of the cells, but I don't want to do again and again the same job. Fortunately, there is the fill handle that will do the job for me. First I will click on cell I2 to select it. As I said in a previous lesson, the fill handle is the small square in the bottom right corner. It requires some skill to click on it because it's relatively small, but when you manage to find the right spot, the mouse shape changes to show you that you have reached the right point to use the fill handle. Now I will click on the fill handle, hold down the left mouse button and drag downwards until cell I7, and here I will release the mouse button. What happened is a wonderful thing. I will click on cell I3 and see that the formula automatically became F3 multiplied by H3. I will click on cell I7 and here the formula became F7 multiplied by H7. The fill handle didn't just make a simple copy and paste, it adjusted the cell references according to the logic I wanted. For example, here the logic was this: since in cell I2 I want the product of F2 multiplied by H2, it's logical that in I3 I want the product of F3 multiplied by H3, and with the same logic in I7 the product of F7 multiplied by H7 and so on. Now there is no magic here or AI involved. When you drag the fill handle down or up, the row number of all cell references changes while keeping the column the same. Since I dragged it down, here the row number increased. If I had dragged it up, it would decrease. That's why cell F2, for example, became F3, F4, and finally F7. The logic is similar when dragging the fill handle left or right. Let's see that with an example. I will select cell B9 and enter a formula to calculate the sum of the grades. So I will type equal B2 plus B3 plus B4 plus B5 plus B6 plus B7. And now I will press enter to complete the entry. Now I will select cell B9 and this time I will grab the fill handle and drag it to the right until F9. Okay, let's see what happened here. I will select cell C9 and as you can see in the formula bar, the column of cell references changed from B to C. Similarly in cell D9, it changed to D, and following the same logic in cell F9, it changed to F. So when I drag the fill handle left or right, each column letter of every cell reference changes to the next one if I drag it to the right, or to the previous one if I drag it to the left. Therefore, when I want to calculate something for a row, like in cell I2, then I use the fill handle for the remaining rows. Similarly, when I calculate something for a column, like in B9, then I use the fill handle, I create the formulas for the other columns. Closing this lesson, it's important to mention something that you will need later on. I will double click on cell I2 to open the formula. Here I use two cell references, F2 and H2. This way of referencing cells is called relative reference. What is a relative reference? It's simply when I write a cell with its column letter and row number. Until now you haven't seen anything else, so perhaps it seems strange that I emphasize on this so much. Later in the next lesson, I will show you that there is another way to reference a cell called absolute reference. So it's good to know from now that this way of writing a cell is called relative reference. When the fill handle sees the relative reference of a cell, it understands that it has the right to modify it. That is, it can change the number 2 here to 3, 4, 5 when I use the fill handle downwards, or similarly, it can change the F to G, H, I if I use the fill handle to the right. So when I write a cell with a relative reference, the fill handle can modify it. it can change it and achieve the result I want. You will see in the next lesson that I have the ability and often the need for this thing not to happen. That is, there are cases when I don't want one or more cells that are involved in a formula to be affected by the fill handle but to remain constant. You will see why I may want that in the next lesson, and this is when I need to use the absolute cell reference. For now, I'm not concerned with that here, but I want this from now on to make. I want from now on to make this distinction to understand that here the way I write this cell is called relative cell reference, nothing else. You will see the rest in the following lessons when the time comes. So in this lesson, what I showed you, and you need to remember, is that when I create a formula, I can click on the cell containing that formula, use the fill handle, and create similar formulas down to the right, left, or up. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching.